And now we're going to be heading from Texas to Argentina, one of my favorite countries in the world where I studied abroad for a while, learned Spanish, and then promptly forgot it. I still can handle myself a little bit, but I'm not going to test myself tonight. I've been awake for too many hours. So what I'd love to do now is welcome my new friend Hector. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hola, how are y'all? We're great. I'm good. I'm happy.
Okay.
Hello, Juan Cruz.
Good evening. Thank you, David, to invite us for this project. Yes, I will like to apologize about my English. Yes, I will try to explain in my English several ideas. My name is Héctor Shalom. I'm for Argentina. It's South America at the end of the world. I am director of Ana Frank Center. The Ana Frank Center in Argentina have a museum about Ana Frank, about Argentinian dictatorship, and about issues in our days. We have a theater room with several activities regarding the same aims. And we have an institute, official institute for training teachers. And we have several traveling experiences that we develop around Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay too. During the next minutes, we will introduce, we will present our ideological conception and I will speak about our pedagogical conception. For us, Ana Frank is the departing point that inspire to develop different kinds of activities. We have a law. In 2013, we worked a lot for the two parliaments in Argentina, accepted a law that declared the 12th of June is a day that Ana Frank was born in 1929. And the law established that this day is a day for teenagers and young people that are working for social inclusion, living together against violence and discrimination. These concepts are probably the synthesis of our aims: young people living together, social inclusion, against violence and against discrimination. 3 points just to start. For us, is very important the concept of peer education. All of our projects are coordinating by young volunteers, and we think that the empowerment of the young people is one of our most important points. The second one is what the relation between knowledge, emotion, and action. It's a challenge in education regarding memory, Holocaust memory, what the dimension of the knowledge, what the dimension of the feeling of the people, how the story are close to the heart of the people, and what kind of attitude do you have with this knowledge and this emotion. And probably one more point to introduce our museum is that they work in a pedagogy of the memory as the pedagogy of hope. For us, it's very important to confront sometime with conception of a pedagogy of the horror. How we can, starting with so difficult time of the humanity, to create educational experiences about hope. Welcome to our museum. Our museum is is the most visited by teenagers in Argentina at this time. And I want to invite you to see our introductory video.
Muchos jóvenes como vos visitan diariamente el Centro Ana Frank Argentina desde que abrió sus puertas el 12 de junio de 2009. Tanto en este como a través de las muestras itinerantes se puede recorrer la historia de la vida de Ana, una adolescente que con solo 13 años se transformó en un símbolo de resistencia y esperanza. Ana Frank nació el 12 de junio de 1929 en Alemania, en el seno de una familia judía. Con el ascenso en 1933 de Hitler al poder y la promulgación de leyes antijudías que cercenaban la vida cotidiana, la familia Frank decide emigrar a Ámsterdam. Confiaban que el nazismo no iba a llegar allí. Ana y su hermana Margot tuvieron una infancia feliz, junto a sus padres Edith y Otto. Pero esto cambió drásticamente cuando los nazis invaden Holanda en 1940. La vida de los judíos ya nunca volvería a ser la misma. Había amenaza y persecución, y emigrar resultaba imposible. La familia Frank decide entonces esconderse en la parte trasera de la casa donde funcionaba la fábrica que Otto dirigía. Al cumplir 13 años, pocos días antes de esconderse, Ana recibe de regalo un diario íntimo. Durante más de 2 años, la familia Frank permanece escondida junto con otras 4 personas. Ana relata en él sus deseos e ideales. En este diario, que se convirtió en un legado y fuente de inspiración para muchos, Ana logra expresar sus sentimientos en una situación de total adversidad.
Sé lo que quiero. Tengo una meta, una opinión formada, una religión y un amor. Que me dejen ser yo misma y me daré por satisfecha. Reina aquí en casa una atmósfera deprimente, aletargada y pesada. Afuera no se oye cantar a ningún pájaro. Un silencio sofocante y de muerte lo envuelve todo. Y esa pesadez se aferra a mí como si quisiera arrastrarme hasta los infiernos.
Gracias a la ayuda de 4 protectores, los escondidos pudieron vivir durante más de 2 años en la casa de atrás. Pero fueron delatados, deportados a Auschwitz y finalmente Ana y su hermana Margot mueren en el campo de concentración Bergen-Belsen semanas antes del final de la guerra. De los 8 escondidos, solo Otto Frank logra sobrevivir al horror nazi. A su regreso a Ámsterdam se encuentra con la terrible noticia de la muerte de su familia. 2 años después publica el diario de Ana, que se convertiría en uno de los libros más leídos del mundo. Así, el diario de Ana Frank hizo reflexionar a mucha gente. Describe los últimos años de la vida de una niña judía, víctima de la Shoah, y al mismo tiempo constituye un relato sobre la ansia de libertad. Es una narración sobre derechos, libertades y su violación. El Centro Ana Frank ha sido creado como un espacio para una pedagogía de la memoria. Tiene como objetivo desarrollar planes y proyectos educativos que promueven el mensaje universal humanista en favor de la equidad de derechos. Se promueven actitudes de compromiso social, respeto y responsabilidad sobre otros para crear una sociedad democrática y pluralista. Esto se lleva a cabo en la diversidad de experiencias que se suceden en el centro en Buenos Aires, como a través de sus muestras itinerantes que recorren el país. Un retoño del castaño al que Ana le escribiera en su diario fue traído desde Holanda y en el jardín del centro inspira y convoca a la reflexión. Tomando la historia de Ana y la Segunda Guerra Mundial, así como la de la última dictadura militar en Argentina, se intenta identificar situaciones violatorias con los derechos con el objetivo de enfrentar el prejuicio y desterrar la discriminación en nuestros días.
Actitud.
Esperanza.
Compromiso. Libertad.
Aprendizaje. Perpetuar.
Resistencia.
Transmitir. Crecimiento. Reflexión. Aprendizaje.
Trascendencia.
Crecer.
Valores. Recordar.
Empatía.
ejemplo de juventud.
Una generación de chicos que por causas del nazismo quedó totalmente borrado, que no tuvieron voz.
Una luz de esperanza en un momento trágico y terrible de la historia que pudo proyectarse hacia el futuro.
Ver en alguien su historia y poder rescatar lo mejor de ella.
Es poder mantener vivo el recuerdo de todo lo que ocurrió, todo lo malo que pasó.
Ana lo que hizo es darle esa voz a los que en ese momento estaban pasando por todas estas situaciones.
Que los hechos e historias pueden sobrevivir y trascender a través de los años.
Creo que es una voz que representó a un montón de gente en esa época.
Educar sobre temas que nos atraviesan constantemente en la actualidad.
Contarle a un montón de personas la historia de Ana, la de su familia, para que no vuelva a repetirse el horror del nazismo y de la ayuda.
Veo que más gente cada vez se interesa más por la historia de Ana.
Para no quedarme sentada diciendo que era una sociedad más justa, sino intentar construirla.
Significa un ejemplo de juventud.
Para que la gente no olvide, que haya memoria.
Que también tenemos que seguir tomando de los valores que se agarraba Ana para poder seguir construyendo una sociedad más justa para el futuro.
Para hablar por los que ya no están, para continuar la historia que no se vuelva a repetir.
Ana Frank, con toda su historia, es entender y más que nada relacionarlo con la tolerancia.
Una oportunidad para relacionarse con chicos.
Muchos de los que ahora somos guías, a la misma edad que ella, leímos su diario y bueno, es una forma de tratar de identificarse con alguien más allá de que el contexto sea diferente.
Significa una inspiración tanto para mí como para todos los jóvenes.
Por más que seamos diferentes personas, luego tengamos diferentes culturas, en derecho tenemos que ser todos iguales.
El poder defender sus ideales pese a la situación que estaba pasando y las ganas de seguir siempre adelante.
Todo hombre es como cualquier otro hombre, como algunos otros hombres y como ningún otro hombre.
Hi everyone. We continue here with Ana Frank Center. I am Silvina Chemen. I'm a rabbi in a large congregation in Buenos Aires, but also I'm in charge of the educational resources at the Ana Frank Center in Argentina. And I'm here to tell you how this all began. This all began with a book, and you have the cover there. The book's name is Testimonies para Nunca Más, Testimonies for Never Again, from Ana Frank to Nowadays. And this is a book that we wrote with the director of the center now, Ana Frank, Héctor Shalom. The book is written for teenagers. We investigated and there weren't resources written for teenagers about Holocaust, but also about our own genocide in Argentina. You might remember the genocide, the dictatorship, the last dictatorship government in Argentina between 1976 to 1983, where 30,000 people were disappeared, tortured, assassinated, persecuted, thrown to the rivers from the plains. 500 kids who were kidnapped, and we still are looking for them. And but we saw that the teenagers didn't know much about Holocaust, but also started to forget about what was the last dictatorship in Argentina. So we decided to write a book for teenagers. This is the book, this is the cover of the book, and I want to explain to you the three parts of the book. You can see Birkenau on your screen. You can see the Plaza de Mayo. You might remember that the Mothers of Plaza de Mayo, an organization of human rights, decided to walk around this monument of freedom to ask first of all, were their sons and daughters, but then to look for justice. And the last three, the third picture is about the lack of equality nowadays, poverty, discrimination. But let's go to the first part, please. Thank you, David. The first part of the book is the story of Anne Frank, because, you know, we can speak about millions. I've been present in many of the sessions of today, and millions, thousands, how you can imagine what is a number. But Anne Frank did something very special. She wrote this diary, and through her testimony, we can feel what is the Holocaust about. And we understood that the importance of the testimony, the personal testimony, put people close to the history facts. So through the testimony of Anne Frank, we explained in a very, very youth way what is all about the Second World War, the Holocaust, the other genocides, besides the Jewish annihilation. This is the first part. And the second part, and without making any comparison, the second slide, please, David. Thank you. It's about our own story, Argentinian story. As if you can see, there are three pictures there, because these three people were young people, were children during the dictatorship. The first, with the signal in her hand, is Lorena Batistiol. She was kidnapped with her family, but she cried so much. She was 1 year old that the military people, the soldiers, threw her into the neighbor's house, but she's looking for a brother or a sister that was born in a clandestine detention camp in Argentina, sort of concentration camp. So she's still looking for her or her brother or sister. The second woman is Victoria Donda. She was born in a concentration camp, but she didn't know since she was about 25 years old. And she knew her history, but she didn't know anything about her. And she was adopted by her uncle that was a military person that denounced his own brother and daughter-in-law. That's why they were kidnapped and disappeared. But now she is a member of our parliament and a very defensor of human rights. And the man, Daniel Tarnopolsky, that you will listen more about him in our program. Daniel Tarnopolsky is the only survivor of a full family that at the same night was kidnapped, and all of them were thrown from a plane to the river, the Rio de la Plata. He survived because he was not at home and no one could find him, and he had to escape from Argentina, and he lived in exile for 25 years. Now he lives again in Argentina with the democracy back. He's again with us. And the third part, the third slide, please, David. It's about nowadays. We gathered 12 young people that represent diversity, really different religions, immigrants to the country, people from the civil society and from the security forces, people from the capital and people from the provinces, and disabled people. And with all of them, we had a very extensive conversation and testimonies about their own lives and what they think about identity, violence, discrimination, and future and ideals and hope. This is to you to understand that this was a book. And when we were presenting the book, we met very, very nice people. Among them, we met a person that he wants to preserve his name, that said to us, this is so important for young people in my country to understand the value of memory and what you're doing in this book, that I want to offer you something. I want to offer you a space. I want to offer you my own house, so as you to make a space for a pedagogy of memory and hope. So suddenly 11 years ago, we received the house and we transformed this book in what today is the most visited museum for by young people in the whole country, Anne Frank Center Museum. With that, I want to finish my presentation, and also I want to present a video of Daniel Tarnopolsky. I told you, you are going to know much more about Daniel Tarnopolsky, that he's a survivor, his family was kidnapped, but also he has testimonies of what happened with the Jewish people that were in the concentration camps, because the treatment to Jewish people in these camps were even worse. I leave you with our friend Daniel Tarnopolsky.
Okay. Hello, good day everybody. My name is Daniel Tarnopolsky. I am 62 years old, and I am a survivor of the Argentina dictatorship that took the power in between 76 and 82. This dictatorship abducted thousands of people and put in jail other thousands of people. Between them, all my family, my father, my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my sister, they have all been abducted. My brother was a left party militant, and he was doing his military service. He was 21 years old. He was already married, and he passed information from the military activities to her chiefs in the left parties. He was caught, and all the family had been kidnapped with him. I haven't been kidnapped because I wasn't at home that night. We were a Jewish family, and we can say that the percentage of Jewish people engaged in left parties were very, very high in Argentina. We have more or less 30,000 abducted people, between them 2,000 Jews. It's a very high percentage. We think that the reason of that, it is that in our culture, in the Jewish culture, we have a very high, important feeling of humanity, and that's why in Argentina you have lots of young people engaged in left parties to try to fight against the very injustice society that we had and that we still have here in Latin America. The dictatorship was between 76 and 82, and from then to now, all the survivors, all the relatives, we have organized human rights movements to reach the truth. We fight for justice. We fight for knowing the truth about where relatives who have been abducted, who have been killed in the clandestine prisons, in the secret prisons. We fight to recover the children who have been kidnapped with their mothers and have been given in adoption, as we say, in captivity, because they don't know who they are. This is the fight of the grandmothers, and we have several movements of relatives and militants in Argentina who are engaged now in our democracy, always trying to change our reality. which is very difficult, and we don't know if we are going to reach our desire, but we go on fighting. In our name and in the name of our relative who have been killed. Thank you very much.
Okay, just I want to add some information about the Argentinian dictatorship and why we work in a concept of a mechanism of procedures that from the Nazism that we see in our dictatorship. It's not an issue to compare. It's only to understand how was the influence of the Nazis in our military, in our army. We received around 1947 more than 1,500 Nazis in Argentina, most of them with a big responsibility during the Nazi regime, like Eichmann, Mengele, Prievke, Pavelic, Schwamberger, and they had strong influence in the Argentinian army with deep anti-Semitic attitudes. During the 70s, we suffer in several countries in Latin America dictatorships. Personally, I suffer the dictatorship in Argentina too. Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, it was a coordinated plan, the Condor Plan. In Argentina, the dictatorship was between 1976 to 1983. Some economical and social crisis with a big unemployment and high inflation and reduction of the salaries were the excuse for the militaries for the putsch. They take the government, cancel the democracy, cancel the parliament. It was forbidden political parties. They closed universities and start a big persecution for the unions, for the students, for the teachers. Consequences: 30,000 missing people, more than 400 clandestine camps, 500 babies that were robbery from the mothers when they was born, killing the mothers and giving the babies to members of the army and the police for illegal adoptions. The grandmothers, how start mothers and grandmothers? When the mothers wanted to know about what happened with the dance, with the son, with the daughter, started to ask to several people, several organizations, and they wanted to identify each other. And they decided to use something that they put it in a hat. ¿Cómo se dice en español?
Handkerchief.
The handkerchief, white. And it was forbidden during the time to be more than two people speaking on the street. And they decided not to be stopped, and they decided to walk around the monument in Plaza de Mayo. They create in this moment the mothers of Plaza de Mayo. Then part of them discover that the children that was born during the dictatorship, they don't know when they are, and started to create the grandmothers of Plaza de Mayo. Mothers and grandmothers walking around the monument show to all the world what happened in Argentina. They really are the responsible that we recover our democracy. The three most important concepts for them was memory, truth, and justice. Memory, of course, we know. Truth, they wanted to know what really happened with the people, with the son, with the daughters. And justice. For us, justice is one of the most important aims. We have the honor that in our country, more of 800 militaries was in trials and received the condemned for the behaviors during the dictatorship. It's part of our educational challenge, the relation between the past and the present. Okay, now I want to introduce to Juan Cruz Acevedo. He is part of our young team, and welcome, Juan Cruz. It's your time.
So as Héctor said at the beginning, all of our activities at the Centro and all around Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay are carried out by youngsters, volunteer youngsters. It is very important for us, it's part of our work as an educational institution, to have young people leading our activities, to have them being the ones telling this story to other young people and turning this way them into multipliers of the legacy of Ana Frank. So now we're going to watch a brief video about our youth network. You can play the video.
Ser parte de un grupo de jóvenes comprometidos con transformar la realidad, es poder llevar y contar todos los días la historia de Ana, que es uno de los mejores testimonios para tratar los derechos humanos en la actualidad.
Es formar parte de algo más grande, donde tengo la oportunidad de cambiar el presente y formar un mejor futuro. Ser parte del grupo de guías es tener un lugar seguro donde alzar mi voz y poder expresarme sin miedo.
Tenemos derecho a vivir sin violencia. Tenemos derecho a vivir en un espacio en que uno se sienta cuidado por el otro. Ana Frank pudo estar escondida porque tuvo protectores. En ese sentido, la historia de Ana Frank es la historia de gente que decidió proteger.
Yo soy embajadora del Centro Ana Frank.
Significa poder transmitir un mensaje, un conocimiento.
Estar trabajando al lado de muchísimos jóvenes y adultos de todo el país.
Una responsabilidad gratificante que tomamos y me permitieron llevarlo a mi colegio y otros colegios de mi ciudad, Pilar.
Con un bien en común, que es defender los derechos humanos.
Algo que me gusta mucho hacer, que me apasiona y que lo disfruto porque
los jóvenes podemos hacer algo para acabar con la discriminación y los prejuicios.
Y me siento orgullosa de ser embajadora del Centro de Ana Frank.
Escribir para mí significa
libertad,
buscar,
crear,
autoconocimiento,
reflejarme,
inspirar,
transformar,
esperanza.
We opened our doors at 2009, and last year was our 10th year anniversary. And throughout those 10 years, our activities have grown so much, and especially its impact. So many youngsters have followed its activities. And since the first day till nowadays, we have grown so much. So here's another video so you can see how our activities have grown.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. And I was running from my brother and his friends. And tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down. I was younger then. Take me back to when I found my heart, broke it here, made friends and lost them through the years. And I've not seen the boring fields in so long. I know I've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the over the castle on the hill. 15 years old and smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, running from the law through the backfields and getting drunk with my friends. Had my first kiss on a Friday night. I don't reckon that I did it right, but I was younger then. Take me back to when we found weekend jobs, and when we got paid, we'd buy cheap spirits and drink them straight. Me and my friends have not thrown up in so long. Oh, how we've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. Over the castle on the hill. Over the castle on the hill. One friend left to sell clothes, and one works down by the coast. One had 2 kids but lives alone. One's brother overdosed. One's already on his second wife. One's just barely getting by, but these people raised me, and I can't wait to go home. And I'm on my way. I still remember these old country lanes when we did not know the answers, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. Over the castle on the hill. Over the castle.
Thanks for that. So as you saw in the video, last year we inaugurated the very first Anne Frank Theater Hall in the world. This was not only a way of increasing our activities, because as you've seen in the video, we have been developing so many activities throughout these 10 years, but also not only considering the transformative power of educating through art, we thought, why not including new ways of teaching the Holocaust, and not only having a museum and all of these educational programs, but also having a musical, also having theater plays. So now there's a specific short video about our theater.
En estos 42 años de caminar por una lucha tan fuerte, pero tan necesaria, para encontrar, como se mencionó hoy, y mañana lo decimos a la sociedad y al mundo, 130 años.
Sepan vivir una vida mucho mejor, que haya paz en el mundo y que podamos disfrutar de nuestros nietos, bisnietos y de la familia que tenemos todos acá.
I would like to introduce our probably last challenge. The question is why all the responsibility about the memory are in the hands of the victims and relatives of the victims. I think that we need to work together with the relative of the perpetrators that have the decision to denounce and condemn the fathers, grandfathers, and other relatives. We started to work with this line. We invited the last year to Jacqueline Hiss. granddaughter of Robert His, that was the genocide responsible about the mass kill of Lidice, Czech Republic. Last November, she met for the first time with Shoah survivors. And at the same time, Shoah survivors was meeting with one relative of Nazis for the first time. I invite to listen a short part of the testimony of Jacqueline Hiss.
Mein Name ist Jacqueline Gies. Ich bin 1967 geboren. Ich freue mich heute sehr, hier im Centro Ana Frank die Geschichte über meinen Großvater erzählen zu können. Mein Großvater Robert Gies wurde am 17. April 1902 in Köln geboren. 1931, ein Jahr nach der Hochzeit, kommt meine Tante Hedda zur Welt. 1933 tritt mein Großvater in die Partei ein. 2 Jahre später, 1935, wird er Mitglied der SS. 1939 übersiedelt er mit der Familie nach Prag und wird dort Karl Hermann Franks persönlicher Referent. Dieser ist zu diesem Zeitpunkt höherer SS- und Polizeiführer. Ihm untersteht somit der gesamte Repressionsapparat im besetzten Teil der ehemaligen Tschechoslowakei. Bei Kriegsende 1945 gelingt meinem Großvater die Flucht. So entgeht er der Verurteilung für seine Verbrechen, während sein Vorgesetzter Frank in Prag gehängt wird. 1963 wird mein Großvater wegen Tötung tschechischer Bürger angeklagt. Die Tschechoslowakei klagt im Namen antifaschistischer Opferverbände. 1964 endet der Prozess jedoch in Dortmund mit einem Freispruch für meinen Großvater. Aber diese führen lediglich dazu, dass er frühzeitig aus dem Amt scheidet. Eine Verurteilung findet niemals statt. Zu den vielen unbeantworteten Fragen meines Vaters gesellen sich neue hinzu. Und noch immer erhält er keine Antwort. Im Gegenteil, die Verwandten drängen ihn, die alten Geschichten doch endlich ruhen zu lassen. Mein Vater lässt jedoch nicht locker und es kommt zum Bruch mit den Verwandten. Er will eine Antwort auf die Frage haben, ob sein Vater ein Mörder war und welche Rolle er während der Nazizeit gespielt hat. Er forscht weiter, doch sein Vater bleibt in der gängigen Literatur zu diesem Thema seltsam nebulös. In keinem der einschlägigen Bücher zum Thema taucht der Name Robert Gies auf. Warum? 2012 besuche ich die Gedenkstätte des Konzentrationslagers Ravensbrück. Zum 70. Jahrestag der Vernichtung von Lidice wird eine Gedenktafel für die 196 deportierten Frauen eingeweiht. An den Feierlichkeiten nehmen auch Überlebende und Hinterbliebene der Opfer teil. Darf ich an diesem Gedenken teilnehmen? Stört die Anwesenheit der Täterenkelin die Trauer um die Opfer? Ich wage es nicht, mich jemandem anzuvertrauen. Nur im Gästebuch der Gedenkstätte offenbare ich meinen Namen und versuche, meiner tiefen Scham Ausdruck zu verleihen. Die mörderischen Taten der deutschen Besatzung werden verherrlicht. Ich kann diese Verbrechen nicht sühnen. Ich kann meinen Vater nicht mehr von seinen quälenden Geistern befreien. Aber ich kann die Erinnerung wachhalten und versuchen, die Wahrheit über die Verbrechen meines Großvaters, die zu lange verschwiegen wurden und die nie verurteilt wurden, ans Licht zu bringen. Lassen Sie mich zum Schluss die Worte Thomas Manns zitieren auf einem Gedenkstein für die Opfer von Lidice, der sich in Berlin befindet. Deutsche, ihr sollt es wissen, Entsetzen, Scham und Reue ist das Erste, was Not tut.
Friends, just to finalize, I want to say that in our days, in our world, there are a lot of people working for the wars, for mass kills, for discrimination, against refugees, and other group of people like us that are working for the peace, for never again, for living together. I don't know exactly which of the two are biggest, but I'm very happy that you and me are in this side. Thank you very much to share our project and to work together around the world for never again.
Héctor, Juan Cruz, the whole team in Argentina, muchísimas gracias. This was such an incredible experience. As I told you last time when we spoke on the phone the other day, we were uniting people all over the world, but we had yet to find a partner in South America. And so I'm so grateful that we were able to get connected. And it's just the beginning. There's so many other organizations that we need to be working with. So thank you for showing up and being a part of this. And